The first member of the British royal family to be arrested by the police in nearly 400 years has been born, Andrew, the younger brother of King Charles III. On February 19th, the day of his 66th birthday, 6 plainclothes police cars drove directly into his residence at Sandringham Estate. The UK police arrested him on the spot under the charge of misconduct in public office, a charge in Britain the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. Who was the last British royal to be arrested? It was King Charles I during the English Civil War in the 17th century, who was ultimately executed by beheading. Many believed Andrew was merely involved in playing the field with Epstein, which, while egregious, was just a scandal. But these latest allegations represent an entirely different level of investigation by British authorities. The issue is that Andrew was accused of leaking UK government classified documents to Epstein during his tenure as the UK trade envoy, which is no longer a sex scandal, but a charge involving national security and treason. Where did the evidence come from? On January 30th of this year, the U.S. Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of Epstein's case files, which included extensive correspondence between Andrew and Epstein. The email revealed that in November 2010, after Andrew visited Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Shenzhen in his capacity as a trade envoy, his personal advisor Amit Patel sent him the trip report. Within just 5 minutes of receiving the email, Andrew forwarded the reports verbatim to Epstein. Clearly, he didn't even bother to read them before sending them on. Such actions were already routine for him. Even more outrageous was the fact that on the night before Christmas in the same year, Andrew sent Epstein another confidential brief about investment opportunities in Helmand Province, Afghanistan, where British troops were stationed at the time. A member of the British royal family had sent investment intelligence involving a British military base to a convicted American sex offender. What does this imply? Why did Andrew pass these materials to Epstein? According to publicly disclosed emails, the two were then planning a commercial collaboration in China. Andrew exploited his position as a trade envoy to obtain business intelligence and investment opportunities from various governments, which he then handed over to Epstein for monetization. In other words, Andrew turned the public authority entrusted to him by the UK into a bargaining chip for doing business with Epstein. This is no longer just a case of poor judgment in friendships, but a systematic abuse of power for personal gain. Looking back on Andrew's downfall, every step was shocking. In 2019, he was forced to resign from all royal duties due to his association with Epstein. That same year, he gave an interview to the BBC in an attempt to clear his name, but it turned into a disaster of public relations, with the entire UK witnessing his evasiveness when questioned. Epigraph. In the 2022 Epstein case, Virginia Giuffre, a victim of sexual assault by Jeffrey Epstein, chose not to testify against him in court but opted for a settlement. Reports indicate the compensation reached millions of pounds. On April 4, 2025, the 41-year-old Giuffre died by suicide in Australia. His family issued a statement today after learning of Epstein's arrest, declaring he never deserved to be called a prince. Virginia did this for all the victims around the world. In October 2025, Charles III officially stripped Andrew of all his royal titles and honors. At the beginning of this year, Andrew was evicted from his longtime residence at Windsor Castle late at night and moved to a temporary home at Sandringham House. Today, the police took him away from this temporary residence. From the Queen's favorite son to a prisoner, Andrew took only 6 years. What was Charles's stance? On the day of Andrew's arrest, Buckingham Palace issued a statement from Charles with a single core message. The legal process must run its course, with no intervention, no plea, and even Buckingham Palace was unaware in advance that the police would take action. And all this happened on the same day Andrew was taken to the police station. Charles received foreign ambassadors at St. James's Palace as usual, and Princes William and Kate attended the event normally. The entire royal family's stance was very clear. Andrew is no longer one of ours. What should we do? British Prime Minister Starvin stated even more bluntly in a BBC interview, anyone must testify, regardless of who they are. All are equal before the law, and no one can stand above the law. Was this truly Charles upholding justice by putting family loyalty aside, or was it a case of sacrificing the lesser to save the greater? To be frank, it leans closer to the latter. Since last year, Charles has systematically stripped Andrew of his titles first, then his properties, and finally even his surname. By the time Andrew was arrested, his status was no longer that of a prince, but that of a commoner, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. The purpose behind this series of maneuvers was singular. Removing Andrew, this ticking time bomb, from the royal family ensures the shockwave of the explosion does not harm the monarchy itself. Graham Smith, head of the anti-monarchy organization Republic, said one thing that was spot on. "To be honest, I never expected this day would actually come, but Andrew is just the tip of the iceberg. The 3 million pages of documents in the Epstein case involve far more than just Andrew. In the name of former U.S. President Bill Clinton appeared in flight logs, having boarded Epstein's Lolita Express private jet 27 times. Former British ambassador to the U.S., Peter Mandelson, was also implicated in leaking classified information to Epstein and is currently under investigation. The Norwegian crown princess became embroiled in a scandal. France's former culture minister was forced to resign. The UNHCR chairman was exposed for visiting Epstein's private island. He has also resigned. Although Epstein died in New York prison in 2019, the list he left behind is like a ticking time bomb, periodically revealing another high-profile name. Andrew is so far the biggest name exposed by this list. The problem, however, is that there are still at least 550 pages in the publicly available archives that remain completely blacked out. The U.S. Department of Justice claims this is the case to protect the victim's privacy, but everyone knows the names blacked out are what truly keep the powerful awake at night. Although Andrew is released and continues to be investigated, the case is far from over. For the British monarchy, this is the most severe crisis since World War II, more damaging than the Diana incident, as the latter was merely a matter of mishandled royal conduct. The Andrew case directly pointed to criminality. When footage of a core member of the royal family being taken away by plainclothes police spread across the globe, the cracks in the crown that the British had long prided themselves on could no longer be concealed.